Hello guys, Mr. Jaeger here, and welcome to day number 5. This is the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, and we are in Misc Day. Yes, Misc. The glorious Misc, or I can never remember the Musashi Industrial and Starlight Concern. So these guys are kind of the mid-ranger. I'd say they're the mid-ranger, really. They're kind of like in between, you know, Origin and Drake Interplanetary. You know, the alternative to Crusader. But a lot of their designs also have a slight hint on alien technology, as they are one of the few companies in Star Citizen to establish a sort of trading relationship with various nations of alien factions. So what we're going to do is, in today's episode, is we are going to have a little bit of a push around this little sector here. We'll probably save the Starfarer. We'll have a quick peek inside the Starfarer. Then we'll push around to the Freelancers before wrapping up over towards the Reliants, obviously jumping in between the hulls A and C. So, without further ado, let's get cracking with today. So, first of all, the ships to the right are the Razors. These are the dedicated racing ships with quite a lot of power and look absolutely stunning. Equipped with some size 1s. I remember seeing these and mistaking them for the Origin M50s, which they are fairly similarly designed, but no, these things look... actually, it's kind of 50-50 on whether they look better or not, but they are really nice, and they are quite... And when racing really gets into this own, like when we do have some serious racing in this game, yeah, that'll be fantastic. And I'm sure Microtech is all the more happy to have its logo planted across those ships today. But no, the Razors are very nice looking ships, and yeah, I won't lie. If I was a racing man, I probably would be in a very tough position between flying this or flying whatever. But I will... Let's see, EX. I'm going to watch the fastest, but I like this. I don't know. I like the blue, but I like the white. I might go with the white. I'm going to rent this one, see what happens. Rent. Let's see. So, that is the 3. There's not really a lot to talk about, which we'll jump into the cockpit of this one as I've just rented it. Hang on. Can I get in? Can I get in? I don't know how to get in this one. Is it on the other side? I'm going to assume we can. It's kind of universal in that regard. Right, it's not going to let me in. And what about you? Can I get it with you? Oh, there we go. Yep. So, it doesn't have... Ooh, it's funky. So it doesn't have anything snazzy. Like, it doesn't have a completely retracting thing. But the UI on this one. 1 MFD. Fairly luxurious. But looks really nice. I like it. Like it a lot. But yeah, so there you go. The Razor. Not a lot I can really say about these sort of things. I don't really have much experience with this ship. But it does look very, very pretty. Very pretty. So going... Actually, no, we'll do... No, yeah, no, we'll do the chips at the front. So going over to the... Arguably one of the most... one of the thick ships I'm kind of eyeing up at the moment... is the Prospector. Now, the Prospector is the first ship which incorporated mining in Star Citizen. This was a fairly big hit, and arguably has the best view for a pilot in the game, in my opinion, or thus far. And yeah, this is a very, very pretty ship. It's got a couple of size 2s on the front, and for some reason, when you're playing the was that size 1s? I thought they were size 2s. I am mistaken. Some size 1s. Yeah, for some reason, when you're doing the remove illegal claim jumpers mission, where basically you've got to knock out 3 satellite turrets, and you've got to eliminate the competition, I think. It's actually a law-abiding mission. These guys kind of fly around like bloody gnats trying to get to you. Handy tip. Let's get inside. Handy tip, if you're doing that mission and you want to earn a few extra pennies, make sure you've got the call to arms enabled, and don't shoot any of the prospectors that go for you. So let's go and that's a really big survival kit. Jesus Christ. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can activate the power with this thing. So anyway, hopping into the cockpit, you can see what I mean Right, so it looks like this is the display model, which means it's not perfect. But what I will say, look at that view. You have a total 180 unblocked view. That is fantastic. And the mining laser is sat below you, so you have a really good arc. Loads of other ships, in my experience so far, I've had the overhead view of the ROC and the first-person view of the mining laser, on the first-person mining laser. Whereas this ship has an under, along with the Argo, has an under mining laser. And for me, I love this configuration. I really do. It's also a very, very profitable means to earn for getting Alpha UEC in this game at the moment. Because, well, don't get me wrong. Start again. Because, not gonna lie, I like mining. Mining is a really fun thing to do in this game. And when this game gets to a stage where it's super stable, i.e. if I can go a good 2-hour session before any major bugs hit me, or preferably not at all, none at all, I'd be sold perfectly. So, going into the cockpit area, normally this area has some nice lights, but unfortunately, due to this being a display model, the buggers have broken the lights. It's a survival for one. There is a bed for you to log into, and there you have access points for all of your little extras and all that jazz, which is very nice. Now if we make our way out towards exiting out of the ship. There we go. For those who want to get into the mining profession and are running mostly on their own, this is probably this is your best bet to starting into that in that profession. Getting the ROC is nice to a degree, but there are limitations, as unfortunately, A, you need a transport ship to transport your ROC, and B, you may need, and you can't use the Cutty Black because it is not worth it. I will tell you right now, the Cutty Black is shit. Yeah, you'll need a bigger ship. So I'd say if you want to get into mining, this saves you the aggro of dealing with shit, because you can go onto planets which have minables, like planet surfaces, and you can go into asteroid belts. So this has the combination of, the better combination of two. And the mining lasers, these kind of mining lasers, you can change and upgrade. Only size 1, which is a bit of a downside, but I believe, I haven't done much research into this, but judging from what the mole has, and from what experience we have from the mole, I can say that there's going to be a level of it being translatable into the Prospector. But again, I will get back to you that on more when I do inevitably get this ship and do that stuff. So, without further ado, let's make our way down towards the holodeck. So I will see you there. So, entering into the holodecks, we are gifted with a presence of the famous Hull series. Now, the Hull series, for those who don't know, is a dedicated cargo transporter ship which opens up into struts that allows for cargo containers to be attached on the sides. Now, this is the Hull A series, so there's not a lot of cargo for this one. But as the ship, as you go down the alphabet, you increase in size to the amount of, with the amount of how many cargo containers you can have. So, for example, this is the smallest one, being the Hull A series. Now, the reason why this ship isn't in the game, and this is one of the ships that is desperately needing docking to be a feature in the game, and that once docking is available in this game, this ship can become a thing, and cargo transportations, piracy, escort duty, smuggling, pilfering, like, seriously, this one ship with the abilities for whatever, this one ship is basically the core. It is the thing. It is the dream. It is literally, this is the dream of so many people right now. But because we can't access the ships with a docking collar, we don't have it yet. But I'm really hoping we get to see this soon, because once this becomes a thing, a lot of people are going to be able to start doing stuff in Star Citizen. Then, of course, the servers need to get better, but likelihood of that happening. So this is the Hull C variant. Now, as you can see, it is a little bigger, just a smidge. And the amount of cargo it's containing, it is also fairly substantial. But you can see with the way that these particular struts work, you can be, and if you can calculate how many like little cargo containers are inside the ship size as well, like you can just begin to sort of see how much money you could make from this. And the thing is, these things are cheap as chips, almost across the galaxy. These are going to be fairly, not even fairly common, extremely common. If this was Pokemon, it would either be a Pidgey or a Ratty. It would just be... I'm sorry, I sense a disturbance in the Force. I swear, I think 1,000 people cried out in rage and were immediately silenced when they realized no one cares. So... yeah, the Hull C variant, and there are more than Hull C. We've got D, F, J. Like there's probably going to be a Hull Z, which takes up an entire fucking sector of space. It's literally a city inside a ship. But no, the cool thing with this is that as the ship gets more cargo containers, it turns into these sort of struts. I've not seen a gameplay version, finger quote gameplay. This is a hologram, of course, but still, it's physically in front of me, so I should be impressed. I'm not a cargo guy per se, so this doesn't turn me on. But what I can say is that I look forward to seeing what I am excited about is the kind of potential gameplay loops that can happen from this. Being a former EVE player, I really want to see what potential can be made with this. The only problem, of course, is that fucking docking color, which needs to come back into, which needs to be a thing with Star Citizen, because if you'll do that, you can get so many more people to buy your shit. Oh, God. No, I'm slightly pissed off with the whole... When they announced that the docking was going to become a thing in 3.10, and then they scrapped it for the sake of dragging bodies, it felt like they scrapped it for the sake of dragging bodies. I'm like... why? But yeah, so, yeah, But still, this is really cool. I like this. I don't think I'll ever get this ship if it ever came out, but the potential for gameplay loops with just this one ship is staggering, to say the least. And I'm really hoping to see the ship in the verse fairly soon, because the moment you do, the whole sector is going to be different. The whole game is going to be different. People are going to be living and breathing these ships, and there's going to be pirates living and breathing all the ships as well. So, yeah, not the best, I'll be honest with you, but, you know, for the poor bastard who has to deal with the pirates, but hey, being a mercenary, you get paid to take care of pirates, so it's a win-win for anyone with a gun, at least. So, going into the first of the major big halls, we are greeted with the presence of probably the Misc's most famous ship, and the one that pretty much is like the ship. If you think of Misc, you think the Freelancer. The Freelancer is a very useful and versatile ship with a capacity to give any guy or gal or whatever the first major step up towards whatever they want to go for. If they want to do cargo transporting, this chassis frame will help you. If you want to become a bit more of a heavy punter ship, you've got the 4 Tarantula size 3 guns plus missile support, and she is fairly maneuverable in space to go for that. And apart from a couple of major design faults, she is a pretty good ship, and we'll see you with a good amount of service. What do I mean? Well, let me just go quickly say one thing. So one of my biggest... This is just a personal complaint, and one of the biggest things I absolutely hate in the Freelancer series, and I feel that it is a greatly missed opportunity. So let's have a look at the cargo bay. So as you can see, the cargo bay is a fairly big, lengthy forward cargo bay with a lot of room for maneuverability, and if you have certain vehicles, you can probably park a Tumbrel Cyclone in there. Obviously, you can park some Grey Cats. Wouldn't think you could park a ROC, but who knows. And a little few other vehicles, but, you know, but generally speaking, this is meant for a cargo bay. And as such, it does the job. There's even a little baby cargo bay section in the mid-center of the thing. But the thing is, the ship is hampered by one issue. This fucking thing! I cannot tell you how many times I have almost been able to park something in the Freelancer, but these bastard fucking badly designed turret system results in me not being able to do it, or me clipping into it, or something clipping into it. It's so bad! Ooh. So, yes, basically, a big design fault for me of this ship is the turret's design in the back. Because you make your way towards the... There's another thing where I hate it. You're making your way towards the back door, you go to press a button, and you don't get this option. Instead, you get this option, which if I... Oh, enter turret. So if you're not careful, you'll find yourself in the animation for getting in that fucking turret, which just completely ruins the flow of the game. Now, I can understand the logic behind the turret, which is, of course, oh, but you want to have people who can shoot behind you, and it's a nice defense system. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But here's the question. Why would you have a turret system that can't actually shoot right behind the ship? Because if you actually go into the turret system and turn it around, unfortunately in this in the IAE Expo, you can't actually use the turrets. They can't even swing around. But they actually are facing the right way though. So let's actually. So yeah, this is a very long turret sequence anyway. So if you fuck this up and you don't want to be in the turret, congratulations, you're wasting 15 seconds getting into the damn turrets. So if you want to get into the turrets, and you go into there, right? You can't actually get the shit that's directly behind you. Like, if someone's trying to come up from here, you still can't get them. And there's not a huge amount of difference between this area. If I back up a bit, right? So let's get out of the obnoxiously shit turret. Right? So that the main intention is to shoot shit behind you. Not right below behind you, but just behind you. And over here, where there's a docking collar. Right? Now, my argument is if I could redesign this ship, the one thing I would do, if I could change one thing in the Star Citizen Freelancer design, I would move the turret over to here. I'd place the docking collar into where that ship's turret system is located. Or I just remove the docking collar. Either way. Or maybe I put it on the side. But, like, this docking collar doesn't do anything useful. Apart from allow people to sneak in onto your ship if you're not being careful. So, and again, no features for that. But this turret fucks with loads of things. And it just, in my opinion, I fucking hate it. It's just a shit turret design that just impedes any kind of transportation means. I just hate it with a passion. Anyway, enough of that. So going on to the back of the to the front of the ship, my next issue with the design, apart from it's these doors are a little awkward. Hello, sir. There is a toilet, of course. Go to the shit shower. There is the shit shower. You go to this door over here. You open that. Got little amenities sort of thing. Oh, he's got a cool helmet. So, the issue with this particular ship as well is that this ship suffers from the... sorry, sir. This ship suffers from the... If there's too many players at this door, which means if you have a player here and a player here, they have to get up and run to the front of the ship here, or try and crouch as much as possible so that this door closes and it doesn't get, like, locked because of the presence of other players. I hope they do the fix that they did with the Avenger Titan, where you can just press a button, like if you walk up to the door, you can activate the door rather than it just being closed forever. But anyway, the other issue with this particular ship is this cockpit. Now, what Misc have done is if you activate the heads-up display, you'll get a holographic MFD set up, left, front and center, and it's not bad, it's not great, but the issue is you've got a very big, like in the view from the front is fantastic. The sides have got a little strut in between, which is not great, but But the biggest issue is this right here. Look at how much dead space you've got. That is at least 2 to 3 feet of dead space before you finally get towards the actual window. You can also look up, but the view is not that great. I've used this and I've flown this, but it's not that great. So cockpit design could be better. It's big. It's an earlier ship. Like the Freelancer, you can tell. The cool thing about this game is that there are actual ship designs, which you can tell were designed when this game was fairly young, like way back when. Like there was, if you look talking about original ships, this is definitely amongst the original ship list. Maybe a little bit newer, but into it. But yeah, like she's been through a few redesigns, but there are still some things about this ship which are not so great. But I won't lie, this ship still has many, many positives. And its sister ships have gained and has some benefits from some of the positives. For example, we'll get to you in a second. The Freelancer, as the name suggests, the DUR, or however, as I see it, the duh. It's actually a research ship. I love the irony. I love the irony of this thing. This is meant for long-range reconnaissance / scientific experimentation. The internals have been restricted by a little bit to make room for the inbound refinery, or like fuel refinery, to basically take up anything. Imagine Satisfactory with biomass, or Factorio with coal. You can utilize the thing. There's also the obnoxious turret, but it's not as bad. Docking ring over there, and then the internals are fairly similar and straight and all that. So, pretty cool, pretty cool. Nothing too snazzy or impressive, but the name just never gave me respect. The Freelancer, will never, ever be anything different. Actually, I'll save that variant of the Freelancer for last, because that is my favorite. Going over to this ship, this is the Freelancer Misc. Basically, what this ship is take away the tarantula guns, arguably reducing its firepower, replacing them with Gatling guns, which again is kind of it's how you see fit. I kind of prefer a bit heavier Dakar, slower firing but harder hitting, versus what this is. But they've replaced a lot of the features and functionality. Well, not a lot of features, but they've replaced a bunch of features in the ship to be more combat orientated. Shit ton of missiles. Like you got some size 3 missiles over here, and then if we go into the internals, once again, the cargo bay has been reduced. It's not as big as the other one, but instead of a refinery, you've got missiles for days. It's mental. I'm not so fussed about this version. I don't really like this ship. I kind of feel that the Freelancer Misc it doesn't... Oh, lag spike. Oh, lag spike. Oh, lag spike. Oh, come on, computer. Don't do it. I said, I'm not a huge fan of the Freelancer Misc. It just doesn't feel very... It just kind of feels like they've slapped a bunch of missiles onto it and called it a gunboat, It's like, it's a clearly retrofitted design, and I feel it just... No originality, no decency at all, and it's shit. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I won't deny it's a good ship for missiles if you are into that kind of thing. But for me, I'm not that fussed. Like, this ship dies fairly quickly, and I'm sure if I caught one out into the open, it can't dogfight. It's maneuverable, but it can't dogfight. If you catch it out, if you get caught out on guard, you're fucked. But still, it's not a bad ship, and I will recommend it if you guys are a fan of spamming missiles in everyone's faces. But there are ships that do that and better, but as you go. But this is what I imagine a Freelancer should be. Now, yes, the ship has its faults. It's not perfect. There are very minimalistic. There are some things that, this ship... There are good things and there are bad things, but this is probably the best thing. This is the best variant of the Freelancer series. This is the Freelancer Max. Still having that fucking ugly turret, which makes it a little bit worse considering the potential you can have for this thing. But the Freelancer Max doubles the size of the cargo bay. And if you're a new entrepreneuring cargo hauler and you don't have enough money for a hull, or you don't want to go for a hull, but you want to have your own little ship, I highly recommend this. This ship is lovely and is what I would say... As I said, this is my favorite variant of the ship. I wouldn't own one because I'm not a cargo hauler, but I do love seeing them. Every time I see them, I smile, because this is what a Freelancer should be. Double the engines, double the cargo capacity, bigger ship, dummy thick, basically. Really, they should rename this, instead of the Max, they should just call it Freelancer Thick with like 2 C's because of the doubleation. It's a brilliant looking ship, and even the color looks pretty dope as well. It's just that fucking turret. Please just get rid of that turret, or better still, put it on the midsection of the ship. That's a much better location for a turret. It just would work so much better. But still, that's it. That's the Freelancer series. The most famous of the ship series in Misc, and probably the biggest earners, I would say, potentially. I don't know. I mean, I would say whenever I think of the Misc, I think of the Freelancer, but that's just my own personal experience. Coming into the second before last segment, we have a room full of Reliants, the other choice for a starter ship, and one which has a very interesting way of flying. The Reliant series is a mixture of alien and human designs blended into one. Some of them being more focused on a scientific route, being with, I think, the Mako being the civilian scientific one, or is it Sen? And I think the Sen is the scientific one because there's not as much armaments for it. But generally speaking, the Reliant series is a foldable ship. Basically, when you take off and go into take off and fly around, the ship basically changes position and kind of becomes a B-wing. The best way I can describe it is this is a B-wing in terms of ship usage, which is cool. It's definitely a nice ship for that. The entrance to it is very pleasant. You got a big ass computer as well. That looks so nice. Crew for 2 as well, which is pretty pleasant. Nice little shit shower. Some access points over to here. So yeah, basically when the ship, when you take off from the ship and you hit the landing gear up, you basically the ship goes 90 degrees in a vertical direction. Now I did say that the Prospector had the best view in the game, and I you know what, seeing this again, I might have to take that back and say this probably has the best view. It's more or less. Well, obviously this will be more like you'll have the halfway point. The MFDs are unfortunately up at the top and out of your vision range, which is a bit of a shame. There is holographics in front of you. One of the things about them with the Misc ships is that they like holograms quite a fair amount, but still. So, I mean, I don't know. I prefer the view of the Prospector more, but I can recognize that this is a very good view in terms of ship design. So going over to... So making our way into different ships. They basically have different core components. So this one's more like a 3D printer / scientific research center. Then making our way over to, I believe, the center one, which is the Tano. Is that a Tano? I think the Tano is the military one. Oh, Tana, not Tano. Yeah, the Tana is... Yes, the military one, which has has a little tiny cargo bay, very tiny cargo bay, weapons mount, and basically like a long-range recon ship, a little enmity sort of thing over there. Not too bad. Higher equipment as well in terms of weapon arming. You've got missiles, size 1s unfortunately, but then you do have access to larger guns on the side. So very, very nice looking ship. You got like two, as I said, this is like a B-wing because you got 2 weapons on the top and the bottom. Because effectively this will be the top, and over there will be the bottom. And going over to the core. This one, in my opinion, is the nicest one. Because you get, it's all a size 3s, but it's 2 size 2s. Or is it size 1s? You know, I'm going to say size 1s. I'm terrible with sizes in this game. I'm finally getting to a point where I might be able to look at them and go, haha. But no, this is the cargo variant, which removes the ability for you to have beds, but instead basically focuses on you taking cargo. So again, another little baby starter ship to be able to start your career in cargo hauling. But if you're going to have a career in cargo hauling, I'd recommend ships like the Freelancer Max for what's your money's worth. But if you're not really going too well in terms of budget and you need something to start cargo hauling, this is not a bad choice, the Reliant core. But if you want to have, like, a good starter ship, and you want something a little bit more fancy when it comes to your first experience in Star Citizen, this is pretty much it. The Reliant Tanner. It's got a good set of weapons, good range of abilities, and it has a funky design mechanic to it, which doesn't exactly make it easy for landing, I'll be honest with you. But when it comes to doing loads of other things, you probably could get in and out of an asteroid field a little bit easier with this than in other regards. So, you know, take of this what you will. I quite like this design. I do like this, but mainly because Star Wars, though. I have to confess, a lot of ships in this game have a Star Wars feel to it at times, and my enjoyment of these ships is very much fundamental because they are Star Wars. So I kind of hold back when it comes to this, when it comes to the Reliant series, because if I got it, it would be mainly because it looks and feels a bit like the B-Wing from Star Wars. So, yeah, but no, still a fantastic series of ships, very enjoyable to. I've not seen. You're not very common, to be honest with you. It's a bit of a shame because I think these have really good potential. I just think there's not enough people who buy into them, which is a bit of a shame. And surprisingly, very quickly, we've been able to push ourselves into the last ship. So we'll take a little bit of time with this one. So this is the Starfarer, and this is the Gemini series, and as you can tell, because of the missiles at the front. Now, the Starfarer ship is one of a mixture of firsts and of controversy in the Star Citizen design mechanics, because this was one of the first big ships that Cloud Imperium decided to design. And as we make our way through this ship, you will see why it's not so as awesome as other ships, and what lessons they learnt from flying around with this ship with other ones. But going over to the rear of the ship, you can see a massive, it's like 8 massive fuel canisters. This ship is a refueling vessel, which is designed purely for if you're going into space and you want to fuel up, say, a Javelin or an Idris, you take these with you. I've often joked and contemplated that these things have kind of a release, and eventually, if you design this well enough, you could probably turn this into the world's largest napalm bomber, which is fantastic. But yeah, going into the ship, you only have one way of getting in, which is this very long ramp going into the cargo bay, which is very big. It's very spaced out, but there's no real defining points. And because if you're, not used to flying around in these kind of ships, you may think that over here is the entrance to some stuff. And you're right, it's the entrance to a completely pointless room. And it's the entrance to the exit. Maybe the ship's trying to tell you something. Who knows? But no, these is the docking bay entrances, as you can see by the weird lighting of the horizon. But yeah, it's not that fancy, I'll be honest with you. No, the actual way to get to the bridge is follow me. By the way, usual note, apologies for the juttering on my guy's head. Unfortunately, this is just one of the issues in Star Citizen where your character's head just bobs for some reason, uncontrollably. This is not because of a track IR thing that I've got. This is not me being a bit of a twat with my head. This is just the game reminding me that it's an alpha. So going through here, just making our way through. So this takes us to the back of the ship, where we want the bridge. So keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going, and so having spent a bloody age getting over to the front area with no real actual instructions on how to get there, you just have to know. If you've been in the ship and you know where you're going, then it's fine. But if you don't, you'll get lost, and it'll take you longer than it needs to get to the bridge. And what's worse, you can't control it from the obvious Picard chair. You actually have to get into one of these. So there's almost no point in having this thing if you're only going to be flying it on your own. This is kind of a ship that you take when you want to transport some various things, or when this ship does have eventual finality, have the ability to refuel things. Now, in a lore-minded perspective, once again, we suffer, well, backtracking a little bit, we also have another issue of the design, which has the Freelancer cockpit design, which is really bad. Is that a way to open these things? I wouldn't want to open these things in space. Just saying. But anyway, just open the window. Do you know the directions for Umathrasai? Before fucking sucked out into space. Anyway, so this ship's cockpit has the same issue as the Freelancer series, in which you got like a giant bunch of empty space before you even get to the main thing. And on this occasion, there's no up view. So your view is very restrictive. It's like you're being short-sighted, which is which is what I have to deal with in real life. But now everyone can also enjoy that feeling, which is not a great feeling. So the only perk, of course, is that the captain's chair does feel pretty damn awesome. But again, no real use for you if you're on your own. There's a couple of remote turret accesses as well. There are defensive turrets scattered around this sort of thing, but this ship is mainly designed as a fuel transport, nothing too fancy. But going back to the design mechanics, in a lore-minded perspective, this ship has a very shit way for you to access the crew quarters. Do you know where they are? It's up here. Yeah. It's up here. Up a ladder into a aliens, colonial marine style environment, and then you climb another ladder to get up to the top. Now, if memory serves correctly, there might be some other ways to come up here. Can't really remember, but here's the way I remember. So yeah, it's pretty bad. Oh no, hang on. There's another way. There's an elevator, I think. Is there an elevator? I can't tell. Let's try and get up and see what happens. Like, you can fall down here. Oh yeah, there is an elevator. The little tiny lift. Little tiny lift where I think we actually do have the companions. Companions? The hallways. You can see what I mean. The design mechanics are really poor. It oozes, this is our first time building a ship of this magnitude before. And giving, credit where credit's due. Oh, there's no fire alarm. There's no fire. Oh no, there's just a secret compartment. Credit where credit's due. They've done as good a job as they can, and they've acknowledged that they've made some mistakes. There's the gravity generator. CIG have acknowledged that they've made some mistakes, and, they are aware of the fact that this ship could have been better. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, this just takes us outside as well. So again, no point at all. But yeah, the Starfarer is the first of the big ships in this game, and the lessons they learnt from it, we've already gotten the benefit of today, because Origin Jump Works 890 Jump took the lessons from that and made it amazing. The other larger ships such as the Javelin and the Idris, well, obviously those ships are more military design, and I can't wait to see them, but they look amazing, and I'm sure when you're internals they're going to be amazing as well. I was just trying to think of what other larger ships there are. The Argo Mole. What other large ship? I can only think of the 890 Jump as a comparison, which is a bad idea, but I know. No, the Reclaimer. There we go. My brain was just completely forgetting the Reclaimer. So the Reclaimer had utilized the advantages from that and became the biggest ship in the verse. So this thing, which originally started as the largest ship in the game, lost its title to the Reclaimer and basically kind of fell by the wayside. But it still has a bit of an impact nowadays. Some clans still utilize its transport capabilities. For an Org v Org one time, BSI used this ship to transport a number of dragonflies and other vehicles to the forefront, so it still has some usage, and I'm sure once the refueling concept and other stuff will have come and gone, we may yet see some usage of this ship being made, but at the moment it's just a glorified, pretty beefy Top Guns though. It's got some good defenses on it. It can hold its own. Like if you want a ship to hold its own, then this ship can do it, especially with the missiles at the front. But there it is, it's the Starfarer, ugliest ship in the game, but it's done its bit and it can do its bit in the future. But it's also a salutary lesson for Cloud Imperium. But regardless of that, we shall have to depart hence, because that is it for Misc. Not a lot of ships in Misc, and it's a bit of an empty one today. We're actually able to get through this fairly quickly, which was surprising. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this little tidbit episode. I look forward to seeing you guys in tomorrow's episode, where we'll see whoever, might be Origin, might be whatever. I'm kind of on purpose not looking it up, because I kind of like to be surprised. And if I look up who's going to be next, I'm going to kind of be like, oh, okay, so it's this lot, guys, and oh, this is the style for it. Whereas if I have no idea, it's kind of like a woo. So there you guys go. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day. And I hope you find some good deals for this sort of thing, for these ships. I may be getting myself a prospector, because I do need some mining ships. I don't have any mining ships. I only have mining vessels. Like, I don't have any mining handheld and the ROC, and that's it. So, yes, I believe I will be probably getting this ship in the very near future. So, I'll see you guys then. This is Mr. Jaeger, signing out.